All right, y'all. Today we're going to be looking at fasting fluids that you can consume while fasting. All right. So, what I want to add in here too is communion as well. If you take communion, whether, with it being the blood, the body, right, whatever you use for communion, sometimes I'll just do water and like an almond, right? Use whatever elements you'd like, but just know that's perfectly allowed throughout this process. Make sure to check out the Fasting 101 mini course. I've probably linked already to you a few times. Arun does a phenomenal training on communion there. So take that when you'd like during your fast as well. It does not break your fast. But now we'll go into fluids, okay? So you can have as much water as you'd like while going through an extended water fast, or even with intermittent fasting. You can have it plain or with electrolytes. And adding in squeezed lemon is perfectly fine to have, okay? Don't worry about that. Bone broth is a great thing to enjoy while fasting to be able to curb any sort of hunger, and also the healing effect that it has on the gut with all the collagen in there. So stinking good for you. 1 cup of that in the morning could also be a replacement for coffee or espresso if you are really sensitive to caffeine while fasting. That's a great alternative. You could also just completely fast through and skip that morning cup of joe instead of replacing it as well too. Everybody, when you fast, is called differently when it comes to fasting from caffeine or not. And I just say, hey, listen to the spirit on that one, because there's been times where I've dumped all caffeine out of my diet when fasting and had great experiences. There's been times where I'm like, dang, I know I didn't prepare my body and I'm also going through caffeine withdrawals while fasting. It's probably gonna be better if I just have a cup of coffee, and God meets me with that cup of coffee and he sits down with me. We have a great conversation, right? So caffeine is going to be a personal choice when you do fast, whether you want it or not. It does help with a caffeine suppressing effect, however. So everybody should know that it does just help you out. Next thing you can have while fasting, herbal teas, perfectly fine to have. All right. Black tea, chai tea, green tea. They have a little bit of caffeine in them as well too. Any of the non-caffeinated teas, these are all great to have. No sugar, no sweetener, nothing like that. And then coffee or espresso that is black, or it can have a small amount of the following added to it, is going to be perfectly fine. So I recommend it to be black because it just makes it easier. But it's not the end of the world if, while you're on an extended water fast or even while intermittent fasting, if you add a splash of whole milk, half and half, coconut oil, MCT oil, butter, maybe do a combination of these to do some bulletproof coffee, right? Heavy whipping cream is okay. Stevia or a similar 0-calorie sweetener is perfectly fine. However, you want to keep those limited, as 0-calorie sweeteners, when not accompanied by calories, can really skyrocket your hunger because your body's saying, hey, I'm getting something sweet. Where's the sweet calories at, right? So definitely allowed. Just make sure to keep those limited if you find that they're affecting your hunger. If they don't, enjoy them. Enjoy the stevia in your coffee as much as you like. You can add sea salt to your coffee, and then you can also add any unsweetened nut milk or coconut milk to that puppy. I think some people like oat milk lattes as well too. So add a little splash of that is all right. Don't make a whole latte during your fast, right? So these are perfectly fine to have while extended water fasting and even while intermittent fasting as well too. And one final note here is a special note on 0-calorie energy drinks. So these are actually allowed, and it's not the end of the world if you have one during a fast. But I want you to know that it can possibly overstimulate you during your fast. And that's one of the worst things, when you get jittery and wired during your fast, but you don't really know what to do with it because you don't have any food in your belly to ground it. So it can overstimulate you, but also it could just feel the exact same as having a cup of coffee to you, but maybe just a little bit stronger and give you a little bit of some extra energy to do some awesome things that God has you called to do that day. So when it comes to 0-calorie energy drinks, whether extended fasting or intermittent fasting, they're allowed. Just know your own boundaries and integrity when it comes to your caffeine tolerance, and you'll be good to go. So that's it for the video. See you in the next one.